In the wide stretches of the western plains, where cattle roamed free and the wind carried both dust and sorrow, a lonely rancher named Thomas lived in silence as heavy as the mountains beyond his land. Years ago, he had lost his wife to illness, and since then his days had been filled only with work, sweat, and the echo of his own footsteps in an empty house. He never went to town unless it was necessary, but one evening, while delivering supplies, he stumbled upon a scene that would change his life. In front of the saloon, a drunken man shouted at a crowd, tugging along a thin girl with tangled hair and eyes downcast. "She's deaf, useless," the man slurred. "Can't hear a word, but I'll sell her for a few dollars. I've no more use for her." The men in the crowd laughed, some jeered, others looked away in pity. The girl, no older than 17, stood trembling, her hands clutched against her chest, her silence making her seem smaller than she was. Thomas, standing apart, felt a pang in his chest. Something in the girl's posture, in her quiet endurance, mirrored the loneliness in his own life. Without much thought, he stepped forward, tossing a handful of coins at the drunkard's feet. "I'll take her," he said firmly. The laughter hushed, and with a grunt, the drunk shoved the girl toward him. The girl's name, he later learned, was Eliza. She moved about the ranch quietly, always trying to help, always watching his gestures carefully as though she was reading his lips. Thomas assumed she truly couldn't hear, so he grew patient, showing her tasks by guiding her hands or pointing. Eliza responded with gratitude in her eyes, though her silence never left. The ranch, once hollow and cold, began to feel alive again with her presence. She filled the kitchen with order, tended the animals gently, and sometimes, when she thought he wasn't looking, hummed under her breath, though Thomas assumed it was simply vibrations she couldn't hear herself. But one evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Thomas caught her off guard. He was mending a saddle and muttered under his breath, "Blast it, this strap won't hold." Eliza, standing across the room, turned and asked softly, "Do you want me to hold it steady for you?" The words slipped out naturally, her voice hesitant but clear. Thomas froze, staring at her. "Eliza," he whispered, "you can hear." She looked down, her cheeks coloring, and after a long silence, nodded. Tears welled in her eyes. "Yes," she admitted, "but I learned to pretend I couldn't. My father, he was crueler when I answered back. If he thought I was deaf, he left me alone. It was safer to live in silence." The weight of her confession struck Thomas deeper than any loneliness he had ever known. To think she had been forced into quiet submission just to survive broke his heart. Gently, he reached for her hand. "You'll never need to pretend again," he said softly. "Here, you can speak. You can sing. You can be who you are." Eliza's lips trembled, and for the first time, she smiled, not the small, cautious smiles she had given before, but a smile full of relief and light. From that day forward, the ranch no longer echoed with silence. Eliza began to talk more, halting at first, but with growing confidence. She sang softly while she worked, her voice carrying through the fields like a balm to Thomas's weary soul. Thomas, who had bought her thinking he was saving a broken, voiceless girl, realized instead that she was saving him, from emptiness, from sorrow, from a life without laughter. Together, they rebuilt not just a ranch, but a home, where silence no longer meant fear, but peace, and where love spoke louder than any words ever could.